What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How you been?
Good. Been
Come,
good.
coming off a long weekend.
Long weekend, holiday weekend. Didn't do much over here on my side. Just, well, I shouldn't say that. I didn't do any much fun. I didn't do anything for the holiday, but wrapping up some home improvement projects here at the house. So, yeah, got my house painted on the inside. Shout out to Desert Mesa Painting,
Nice.
our buddy George's company. They did an excellent job. That was kind of the final to wrap up most of our. We've been doing some projects throughout COVID in our house. Just it's been a lot of work. Like 6 months straight of rehabbing and refurbishing the house and updating it and big projects. So that's about it. Felt good to do that, but I'm not done. So every day I'm like yesterday, last night I was putting a new ceiling fan up, and there's like 1,000 parts to those things.
Yeah.
So all these little projects, they just take time. So that's kind of what I've been doing all weekend, and now I'm here talking to you. I didn't get to train. I didn't go to. I wanted to really go to the open mat at our gym, but I just couldn't. My back's been kind of flaring up, so basically I just taken a break from that, from training this weekend, and trying to rest up a little bit and see how this week's goes. See how this week's training goes, and I'll be back in there tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
Back in the early bird.
Yep, back in the early bird. 6:30 a.m. Man, it's something that like we talk a lot about habits in here. That's one that, man, you really got to commit to that early morning training. It's a different kind
It's
of
a hard one.
Yeah, it's a different experience. There's positives and negatives for different people with that. For me, when I first started training jiu-jitsu, I was working more of a 9 to 5 job. And I just knew that, and I had mentioned this on the podcast before, but I didn't want to, there's no way I was going to be able to train at night, especially with the gym that I found that I really like was, 20 minutes away from my house, 25 minutes away. So I had to make it work before work. So that's when I started training jiu-jitsu. I've always woken up early, I used to, for years and years at my former job, I would wake up and I'd have to be at work at 6 a.m. I used to, for years, I worked in a warehouse where, before even the light came out, we were loading semi trucks with forklifts and, early morning work, 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning. So I've always been kind of an early bird, to be honest. Then once I moved into like a salaried position to the office and started doing that type of work, it was more like start work at 8:39 office hours. So that's when I really had to start looking for a place to train early. And that's what I did when I first started jiu-jitsu, is found the early bird class at GD Jiu-Jitsu, 6:30 a.m. Getting up wasn't ever difficult for me. Except back in the day when I used to stay up all night and party,
Mm-hmm.
when I
Yep.
was a young man. But as an adult, having responsibilities and kids and family, I've always been able to get up early. Now, training early is a different story for many people. I just made it a point. So it's like, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu. I have to go to this class. I'm going to start going 2-3 days a week. This is when I first started out years and years ago. And just make that a habit. We talk a lot about healthy habits here on the podcast, and I'm a big believer in that. If you can start making these habits and habit stacking, which we talked about with Nick Flores, getting up early, you get up, it takes, sometimes you got to get up earlier than you want just to get moving, get warmed up,
Yep.
get moving around, get your coffee, get into the gym, and do as much stretching as you can. That is something that where you're not as warmed up probably than maybe if you're walking around all day and you're moving and then you go to a night class.
Yeah.
So you do have those types of concerns, but so, your brain also could be a little foggy in the morning. So these are things you kind of got to just get used to and really learn how to overcome those.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, you've trained in that early class for many, many months as well. Once you get in there and once you get into the routine, it's like any other class where you got to be awake. You got to be attentive. You got to be learning. So you almost forget that it's early morning sometimes in there. Would you agree?
Yeah,
once you get going, it's almost like timeless.
Yep.
You're just there on the mats, you're working, and you kind of forget even what time it is in the morning, especially if you don't have the windows out right there by your gym. You don't know what time it is because once you get in the jiu-jitsu mats, obviously, as most people know or experience, your focus just remains right there on the mats.
Yeah.
You're not thinking of too many external things at that point, or hopefully you're not. So.
Yeah. I started training. So I would train in Denver when I was training in Denver. They had a 6:30 a.m. class, and I would do that pretty regularly. I can't say I've ever really trained at night. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I've either trained at a noon class, a 10 a.m. class, or a 6:30 a.m. class. I just operate better earlier in the day. Kind of like you were saying, at night I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
My work day, I don't get time with my family. And then to go do jiu-jitsu, if it's a 6:30 class, you got to come home, eat dinner. So 6:30 to 7:30 or 8, you're getting home at 8:30.
Yeah.
There's still dinner to be had. You got to shower up. That's putting you in bed at 10 o'clock, and then
sometimes you're all amped up.
Yeah,
too.
Some people can't sleep.
Yeah.
Which the early bird has different. It has a different problem. Some people have a hard time training fasted.
Right.
Coming fresh out of bed. So going back to getting up a little bit earlier. Some people need to have a little bit in their stomach, and so
yeah,
those are definite considerations whenever you're starting to do an early bird class.
For sure.
It is a change. Do you need coffee in the mornings? Do
you need to eat?
Do you need to eat? How much water do you drink? You don't want to go in and feel bloated, but you need to get get some water in you. So stuff like that is all things to consider. But we're doing twice a week, Monday, Wednesday, early birds here now.
Nice.
And then we still have our 10:30 a.m. Saturday, Sunday. So we're getting like 4 days a week in here.
Cool.
Added that second early bird class, which is nice. And we just had somebody new kind of come in who's training early bird with us now. So I think there's building it up. I think there's a lot of people that want to train in the early morning. It's really good for, professionals or people that just know they can't train at night. I'm a big believer in having a early morning class because you walk out, jiu-jitsu's done.
Yep, exactly.
You go in, everybody's dragging into work with their coffee, and you've already had your workout in.
Yeah.
Been choked.
Feels great.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
It feels great.
For sure.
It does, man. I mean, that was something I realized right away. Right away. Even white belt, blue belt. I'm working in a desk job. I was an analyst at the time, crunching numbers, doing all kinds of stuff, spreadsheets. You're dialed into the computer all day long, and to have that workout, 2-3 days a week, getting it over in the morning. Plus, my job was, I worked in a big business, so it's stressful. You have a lot of interaction with people. I mean, just tons of people, people sitting around you. You go to meetings, there's 10, 12 people in the meeting, there's just big business. There's over 5,500, 6,000 people at my company, so I was there many years. I had a lot of acquaintances. So with that comes just a lot of drama and shit talk and who's making advances over here? What's this guy doing over here? How's this manager to work for? It's just a lot of that. So it really was great. I've noticed the mental benefits very quickly. My first couple of years, I just was like, oh, here's this thing that's new. It's exciting. It's fun. I'm learning something. It's before work. You're doing all that tough work. You're grinding in the morning. When you get done with some hard rolls, in a hard class, and you're just like, you're kind of spent, but you shower up, you get ready for the day, you go to work, and it's like, oh, this stuff doesn't bother me as much. It really is. It really does that. It takes the edge off, because it's like, I don't even care about what this person over here is really saying right now, if they're talking shit or they're just creating drama, because it's like, it's just it's like a stabilizer, jiu-jitsu, and it's also something that I was thinking about while I was working. So it was positive in that way, so I didn't just have this dreary work environment and this, it wasn't terrible, don't get me wrong, but it was work that I wasn't as jiu-jitsu gives you something that you're completely interested in. Mm-hmm. And, so you can always have that in the back of your mind, especially now. It's for us, it's completely different. I'm talking when I was first starting. Now I'm like, it's a huge part of my life. I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm studying videos, I'm teaching, I'm designing gear. It's everything for me. But back then, when I was just looking for an outlet, that outlet was great, because it would give me that sense of accomplishment in doing something other than work. I was always accomplished at work and in business. I was a top performer, but I always felt like I didn't have that kind of hobby or something to do for me, for me personally. So jiu-jitsu gives you that. I was talking to a friend of mine. His son is he's going to ASU this year. He's 19. He's moving to Tempe, and he's interested in jiu-jitsu. So I had him over at my shop, and I talked to him for about an hour on what he can expect. This is a really good friend of mine's son. And I think he's going to start training at GD. But, that was what I was really kind of hitting home with him. He's a stud soccer player, but he's kind of moving beyond soccer at this point. He's not going to play in college, but good athlete, and he's looking for something to have for himself now. And this is jiu-jitsu really does give you that. It's just a sense of accomplishment. For
You're
sure, always having to work towards something. And that's why it feels so good when you get that stripe on your belt, or especially if you get a new belt and you're advancing. So you put all that together. You're doing it in the morning. You're doing it before work, if that's your thing. Most people that I train with are working professionals. And they all say the same thing. It's like, oh, my day's just so much better after I get my training in.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said about, and you can tell me what your habit is when what do you do before your early classes in terms of nutrition? Are you fasting while you're working?
Yeah, I like to train fasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to train fasted. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. I've had people, because I've been doing this I'm strictly 6:30 a.m. for literally 8.5 years. I've been training now. So that's all I do. And I've been fasted training. Yeah. I do fasted cardio for 8.5 years. Mm-hmm. So I believe in that. I have a tremendous belief in the benefits of fasted cardio and just for weight loss, for staying fit, for, feeling great, energy. I'll have people, they'll say, how do you do that? How do you train? And they'll literally just say, I can't train without eating first, or I have to have some kind of carbs or something. And it's like, well, that's just in your mind. You don't have to. It's just that you've never tried that, or you're always. Some people have always eaten a breakfast, before they did anything in the day. Especially if you're having weight problems, I think, and we've maybe mentioned this before, but if you can do some kind of fasting and eliminate that first meal of the day, there's definitely some science behind that now, and a lot of studies and stuff on doing fasted cardio in the morning or just fasting period. You're not, your body stores that energy from the night before and what you're consuming. You don't necessarily need more in the morning, especially if you're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. That's what I tell people that are trying to lose weight. I'm like, you eating breakfast, a big breakfast in the morning, terrible. Don't go eating a bunch of carbs and sugars and stuff when, your fat storage, you have plenty of storage. You need to get that going first during the day.
Yeah, I feel like garbage whenever I work out after I just had a meal.
Yeah.
It's slow. No, I don't like it.
I know people that do. I mean, maybe not right after, but definitely people are like, oh, I got to eat first. Or, I literally for over 8 years now, I've just been, that's it. My regimen is I'll wake up and I'm very, I was talking to you about this before, but I'm very much like, I'm very habitual, almost like an addictive personality type, I mean, I've been, like I had mentioned before, it's like the tobacco thing. When I chewed tobacco for many, many years, it was just like this habit that I was in that I could not get out. So some of these habits can be bad, or bad for you. Same thing with eating, eating's like this for a lot of people where you have that habit of you're eating this. It might not be good things you're eating. I'm saying you might have a bad habit of eating a bowl of ice cream every night because that feels great and that's what you do. And you're eating that the last thing, it's just, so some habits are not that great to get into, but my personality is very much so that I'm always, every day is very much, I have a routine. My routine with, every single morning, I do the same thing, whether it's jiu-jitsu a few times a week or I'll go to the strength gym in the morning as well. If I don't do jiu-jitsu, that's what I'm doing. I'm always working out in the morning before work. So my typical thing is I'll make before jiu-jitsu, especially in the mornings, I do drink some water, but I make coffee and, I'm a huge coffee. I love coffee, and then I always have also like a huge 32 ounce, like a BCAA drink with protein powder. So, that's just my thing. So I don't drink that though until after jiu-jitsu. So, for me, I go in, I'm driving to class, I'm drinking my coffee, and when I get to the class, I don't have any more coffee, and I just go straight water, while I'm training and stuff. And then after class, I start pounding the BCAAs. And that's just so refreshing and, replenishing. It's basically water with, some flavored BCAA drink. Like, also, like my coffee, for many, many years, I've been doing kind of like a bulletproof coffee, like a version of that. I used to do strict bulletproof where I would put like MCT oil in there and butter and all that kind of stuff. But I've made my own, and for many, many years, I just have my own recipe. And everyone I've always had them try it, they're like, "Oh my God, this is so good." I mean, it tastes great. So but for me, I just get like Sprouts, like a high quality coffee, some kind of coffee. I've used different ones, but lately I get Mountain Gold from Sprouts. It's great flavor. I just brew a bunch of coffee in a pot. My lady loves coffee too, but she just does her thing with hers. With me, I'll get I have those Oster blenders. It's like the skinnier one, not like the bullet blender, but same deal. I kind of fill that up almost to maybe this much left to the top, and I put like a half a scoop of protein powder. So the protein powder I use is Dymatize ISO 100. I've been using this stuff for probably like 10 years. I mean, it mixes extremely well. It's never chunky. It's just I get the vanilla. There's all kinds of flavors, but the vanilla, you can mix it with everything. So I mix it with my coffee and my BCAAs. It's just if you like protein powder, I do. I like to supplement with that. So I put a little bit of that, like a half a scoop, in my coffee with a teaspoon of grass-fed, Kerrygold grass-fed butter, unsalted. Has to be unsalted butter. So not salted, it won't taste good. Unsalted butter, half a scoop of that protein powder, 1 pack of stevia. So you can see why it tastes good. And then the rest is coffee. And then I blend it. And dude, it's better than any of those foo coffees you get at any of these places. And it's low sugar, you know, 'cause I'm diabetic, so there's no real sugar in that. The fat, you know, Aaron talked about the fasting last week and how some people will put cream in their coffee and they get the sugar rush. For me, I can stay keto in a keto state with this coffee. And it has butter. It doesn't have any sugar. The stevia is no sugar, obviously. The protein powder, I think, is less than half a gram of carbs in it. For me, that fat, so that one drink ends up being a 22 ounce. I pour it into a 22 ounce Contigo coffee mug, keeps it warm literally for hours, and I just kind of sip on that. Now, my lady would probably be like, "How do you still have that coffee?" Because she's just like, some people pound their coffee. You know, for me, I don't, because it has the fat and the butter in it and the protein powder. You don't end up wanting to like chug it, you know. So you're sipping it. It's worked wonders for me, man. I mean, I can maintain weight. You know, I don't have to eat until, you know, lunchtime or whatever. So I'll just drink some of that before jiu-jitsu. And then after jiu-jitsu, I have my other drink. And that is like a 32 ounce tumbler, like a metal, you know, drink, whatever you call them. I put like a full scoop of, I used In-Caged products. So, or Caged supplements, Kaged. They're super good, man. I've been using them for many years, and they get great reviews. They're really highly tested. I use the intra workout. They're like a watermelon or a cherry lemonade, and then I use that same protein powder, which is vanilla. But if you mix those together with ice, and then I just shake it, the vanilla protein powder, you don't even need to blend it. It mixes that well, dude. I've introduced other people to the drink. It's really, really good. And so you got all the BCAAs in there. Obviously, that intra workout does have caffeine in it. So like I'm going to be honest, I drink a lot of caffeine because pretty much all day long I'm drinking this coffee or the BCAAs. You know, the coffee runs out around 10 o'clock. I'm switching to that drink. I'm also drinking water on the side, especially like if I'm competing or something. I'm trying to water load. I have to just drink water on top of all this other stuff. You know, I don't even have time to drink all this, but that's my point is I do that every single day. I'm not joking when I say every day. Like, I never miss a day. Even when we go on vacation, we pack this shit and we do it every single day.
Nice.
Because if we're in California, I don't want to go and search for some shit coffee because I don't drink like Starbucks. To me, that tastes horrible.
Yeah, it does. It's burnt.
It's just like, if you had my coffee, it's amazing. It tastes great. So why would I want to do anything less? So we're psycho like that. Like, I'll bring a little bullet blender with me if I have to, or we'll always bring our coffee. We just pack our coffee and use our own coffee places. So that might sound like over the top to someone, but it is just what it is. And it's something that, like, when you're that into your routine and your regiment, that's just what I do, you know?
Yeah.
I just do that every single day. Today I didn't do jiu-jitsu or go to the gym this morning, but I have my coffee, same exact thing. Today I'm actually I'm going to go do some strength training a little bit later today. I'll have the BCA at that point. But I think as you develop these healthy habits, you know, because you know what, to me, it makes more sense for me to be regimented like that, especially I'm diabetic. So to control my blood sugar, it's better to have something that I can manage definitely in the mornings as well. Because type 1 diabetics have a problem with blood sugar rise. Your blood sugar naturally rises in the morning. Mm-hmm. So this occurs for everyone. But if you don't have it, if your pancreas doesn't work like mine doesn't, your sugars can be elevated in your blood, where yours yours are elevating overnight, but your body's managing
taking
that.
care of it.
Yeah, you're taking care of it, so your blood sugars remain even. So it's also important for me to do that. But for everyone, I try to get into some type of routine like that, so that you're not. One morning I'm eating donuts. The other morning I have toast and pancakes. The other morning I don't eat anything. One morning I have coffee. The other, it's like, that's what the habit stacking is. It's everything from the time you wake up every single day. If it's very consistent timing, you're going to have better production in life. Mm-hmm. Versus I wake up at 6 today. I woke up at 9:30 the next day. That's 11 o'clock on Fridays. It's, it's like, the proof is in the pudding,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of friends that do the same type of thing where they're regimented, but look at me. I mean, I have a lot going on, but I can only manage all that if I'm in this state of consistency with diet, with the things I do. It's sometimes it can get boring and monotonous, but you got to make them things that you like. And my point is that, like, the coffee that I make, I absolutely love it to this day. Like, it tastes amazing to me. There's not anything else I could go buy that I would want more. The same thing with my drink. So once I find something that I like, I kind of stick with it and invest in that and incorporate it into, and this could be just straight food as well. I mean, if you like certain types of food, make sure you're getting those every week and you're make it something though. So it's simple, but it's effective, and you're making a habit of it. So
yeah, that is one of the,
it's a lot.
It is one of the trends that we saw between Nick and Aaron, is they were both talking about discipline. They had different things that they were doing, but they were both talking about being disciplined and having their routines. And it is you've been doing this for a long time. For somebody that's just trying to start something, I mean, it starts small. I mean, you built this over 8 years or 10 years or whatever it is, or a lifetime for your strength training. You've been doing that for probably since you were a young man.
Yeah, teenager.
Yeah, so that stuff starts. It always starts with a small habit, one little thing, and you consistent with it, and you build on top of it. If you try and turn your life upside down, people see this especially on New Year's. It's like super common.
Yeah.
People turn their lives upside down and they don't stick with any of it.
Yeah.
It's
so true. It's like with diet as well. If you're,
that's the big one.
I mean, if you've abused your body and you're overweight and you're not operating at full capacity, to make some drastic change is so hard. I mean, I've helped people with this, through our business, through just personal relationships with people. You got to start small, but it has to be consistent, and you have to just give it time. It's like, are you a soda drinker? Do you drink soda, soda that has sugar in it, regular Coca-Cola or Pepsi or whatever? Cut that out completely for a month.
Yep.
And see what it does, and then wait 6 months and see what it does. Yep. Drastic results, but people can't, that's an addiction that a lot of people have a hard time with.
For sure.
Drinking calories, I always say, there's not a lot of drinks that you should ever have sugar in. To me personally, it's empty calories. When you're drinking carbs, especially diabetics, we all know this as a type 1 diabetic, it's the last thing I tell people. I'm like, if you're a type 1 diabetic, you should not be drinking any sugar at all. It makes no sense. You have to limit the carbs that you want the carbs that you take in to be valuable to your body. And there really isn't anything in the drink that gives you that. Mm-hmm. Say what you want, but the Gatorades, that's all sugar. It's just sugar. That's what you're getting with your carbs. It's not healthy carbs that are coming from vegetables. That would be okay. You're making a spinach green smoothie or something, and but to drink soda, that just makes no sense.
Yeah.
And I know people that have just cut out soda and lost immediately 10, 15 pounds in 1 month.
Yeah,
immediately.
For sure.
And so it just shows like what state that sugar it does to you and your inflammation and the weight, you know. So
yeah, I see this a lot. I've actually, you know, I see this a lot when people will sign up. They're trying to make some sort of change whenever they come into my business. And I always, you know, I will tell people, okay, like, how many days do you want to, can you commit to doing this? Well, I want to work out 4 days a week. I'm like, okay, have you ever worked out 4 days a week before? No, not right now. I'm not, but you know, I want to work out 4 days a week. Okay, I'm going to build you 4 days a week. And then I give it to them. I give them 4 days a week. Usually they're consistent for the first week, maybe 2. And then it goes back to what they've been doing in the past, which is 1 or 2 times a week. And so then that's when I tell them, I'm like, okay, you wanted 4 days a week. We're not hitting our goal. And then you have to coach them back up to, okay, 2 days a week. That's when the accountability stuff starts coming in, where it's like, okay, let's hit 2 days a week consistently. Because I've talked about this in the past. If you put 4 weeks or 4 days, 4 workouts a week, and you only do 2, you have normalized breaking trust with yourself that is okay to only work out twice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like you're saying, I'm going to work out 4 times a week, but if I only hit 2, that's okay.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
that's not if you're trying to build a new pattern, or if you're trying to habit stack, or you're trying to increase load, or whatever it is. That's not a good way to go about it.
Right.
And so you're normalizing, a person is normalizing not hitting the goal that they're trying to achieve. So I'll say, okay, you're getting the twice a week. Here's what we're going to do. We're not going to do 4 days a week anymore. I don't want you to do 4 days a week anymore. We're going to do 2 days a week. Then we'll be consistent. And I'll say, okay, we're going to add a third day. And I want you to make sure that you're getting your third day, and I'll make it just a light workout. Okay, we're going to get the third day consistently. I have to consistently hit it 3 days a week. And I'll maintain that for, you know, a month, 6 weeks. And then if they can hit it every week, it's like, okay, now we can get to 4 days a week, because you're in that duration where it's 6 weeks, you've kind of started to make it a habit.
Right. Now it's your new norm.
It's the new norm. So
Yeah.
you know, I see this a lot, and having to coach people through this.
That took 6 weeks though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so it takes a long time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that type of what people want. I want 4 days a week. It's hard to go from 1 or 2 days a week to 4 days a week consistently.
Yeah.
It takes having to change. It takes having to small incremental changes, right?
Yeah, for
a
sure.
light workout a light workout is your third workout. And then you build that one to where it's a little bit more intense, a little bit more. You get into that 6 week period. Now we can add that fourth day.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure that's different for different people in terms of, especially if they're not into the workout at all.
For sure.
Right? I mean, that's when it really that's why it's important. That's why we've talked about this at length. It's like when you're doing jiu-jitsu, you got to find a good environment, you know, because they're not all created equal.
Yeah.
So you want to have a place where you vibe with, that is great instruction, but you're vibing with, you feel great, and you want to go in there, you know?
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu is just one example, but, you know, if it's diet, you know, I'm going to turn it around. I'm just going to stop eating the way I eat. I'm going to eat all this healthy stuff. Well, like, to your point, how many days are you eating that healthy stuff now?
Yeah.
No matter what the healthy stuff is, in quotes, you know, it's like, how many days are you eating it now? You're going to completely flip the switch and go the other way? No. You need to maybe start incorporating some more healthy meals 3 days a week, and make them something that is healthy but also delicious for you.
Yeah.
You have to start looking forward. You know, that goes back to like the coffee thing and the habits. You got to make them stuff that you really like. So sometimes it takes a while to get there and develop that. But over time, it almost becomes like a mentality where, hey, I can make these changes and I can still enjoy these changes. That's going to give you more success to start incorporating it on the daily, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's working out or whether it's like you're programming for someone, they're doing 2 days a week. Well, what are those 2 days? You know, is it going in the gym and talking to everyone and doing some very light workouts, and then you're giving them 4 days of really, you know, things that you really, structure, actual workouts. You know, some people are clueless on what they're doing in general, but so working out, the same thing. You know, it's like you gotta that's the hard one to me, and diet, but working out, especially for people that don't work out, it's like some people just hate doing strength training, hate it. So how do you motivate that person? Some people are motivated by in terms of strength, in terms of performance. And they feel, I'm getting stronger, I'm performing better, I'm running faster because of this, or I'm doing better jiu-jitsu because I'm stronger here.
Yeah.
Some people aren't motivated by that at all, right? Or don't know how to do that because maybe they don't have those type aspirations or goals. Maybe some people are motivated by looks, which is huge. You know, I want the muscles, the curls for the girls, all that. And I'm motivated by both of those things. I want to look good and feel good. That's just me. But not everyone is like that. Some people don't give a shit what they look like.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you know, obviously, and sometimes it's apparent. But those people, you know, need to work out and eat better just to better their health. So it's very hard to motivate those people on some of those same things where, hey, you're gonna look better, you're gonna feel better if you look this way. They don't have a concept of that.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna feel better if you eat this way. What do you mean feel better? I feel great when I eat this Twinkie. You know?
Yeah, food's an
it gives me mouth
one.
pleasure. Yeah, it's like so.
Because food's an addiction. Food can be an addiction.
Absolutely.
People self-soothe. You know, there's all kinds of deeply seated.
Most eating is that.
I know it's like there's like and
we're all guilty of that.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of. I mean, even as you know, as far as abuse and trauma, all gets an outlet as far as addiction or as far as a food addiction, and man, it is that stuff. That stuff goes deep.
Yeah,
and
Rogan's been saying on his podcast lately because he's 100% right. If you have like an eating a problem with eating or your addiction is food, it's not like an addiction to a drug where you don't have to have the drug to survive. You can just get rid of the drug. But with food, you always have to eat. So you have to literally adjust your addiction knowing that it's always there and I'm still eating. Mm-hmm. That's, you know, so it's like you can't ever just say, buy food, you're my problem. No. Yeah.
And you face that addiction every time you open a cabinet drawer, every time you open the refrigerator, it's just staring at you right in the face.
Mm-hmm. And it does happen to all of us, you know. I mean, totally. Sugar is a drug that makes you feel good. It's that you get that mouth pleasure. And that's really, if you've seen any of these documentaries like on high fructose corn syrup, it's in everything, and it is highly addictive in that way, in terms of your brain and the way it reacts to it. Because regular sugar isn't like that stuff. Yeah, that's like sugar on steroids times 1,000,000. You know, it's like you're just redlining that stuff.
Totally.
Like, I mean, it's in everything we eat too. So, you know, if you're that type, you need to be the person that when you go to the grocery store, you don't buy any of that. Like, you have to start somewhere where you just can't bring it into the home.
Mm-hmm. That's the big one.
That's step one.
Yeah,
and it is a big one, you know. It is a big one. But if it's not there, you can't eat it.
Yeah.
Then you might find yourself driving up to Circle K and getting crap, but at least that's harder than opening the pantry door, you know. It's like, so it all starts very, I'm saying that because we do the same thing. If we end up buying crap at the grocery store, let's just buy these cookies, and we'll just have a cheat meal or something. Well, when they're in the house, a cheat meal for me, it's like I see the cookies, I always want the cookies, I'm like, if we don't buy those, I have no problem,
Yeah.
So we try to make it a habit of not buying a bunch of junk,
Yep.
And we'll still have treats here and there, but
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff, like we try to tie it into, and I'm talking we being my lady is very health conscious as well. So just like the other night, we wanted to have, we're like, let's get a Dairy Queen dipped cone. Like that's the extent of our dairy. We're not getting blizzards, and even though the blizzards look good at Dairy Queen, I was like, that thing probably has like 2,000 calories in it.
Yeah.
But my point is we walk 2 miles to get that ice cream.
Yeah.
So you got to and that's how we live our life. It's like, let's earn this. Let's earn this. Even if it's just a walk, it wasn't a short walk. We walked a mile there, literally on the canal, and a mile back, and it was fun, and it made it a fun. But you could also still have a treat, but also you're getting, so you gotta, and that's just because we've been doing that for years, being healthy that way,
Yeah.
Even when you don't feel like you need it, it's like, let's go for a bike ride or something. Let's get out. Let's get moving. I very firmly believe you have to be moving. You can't be sitting on the couch all day long,
Yeah.
or on the computer all day long.
Dude, I went to a wedding over the weekend, and it was my brother's wedding, and we flew out to Maine, where he got married, and it's a wedding, so it was cake and cookies, and I drank a lot of beer, and so Monday came around, and we had like an open mat, early bird. And I was looking forward to it all weekend because I knew that I had, it's a wedding. I'm not eating healthy. You know what I mean? Especially it's my family member's wedding. It's my brother's wedding. But man, I could feel it.
Yeah.
I could feel it when I came back on yesterday when we trained. I was like, man, I'm just not.
Oh, 100%.
I just completely was feeling it.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, bro. That doesn't get any easier when you get older. You start feeling that shit all the time. Like if I go overboard on the carbs and stuff and have a heavy night, or if I'm especially like, I don't really drink beer anymore just because it does make me feel that way, man, you feel it. You definitely feel it. So I like just try to stay away from feeling that way, just because, as we both are in the same situation. Every day is a work day,
For sure.
You're getting up, you're either training or you're working every day. You can't I just don't have the opportunity to say, I feel like shit, I'm not going to do anything until 3 p.m. today. It's just, I don't have any of those days.
Don't exist.
I don't have any. So it's important, man. I'll definitely have carb hangovers. Like if I go crazy and have a cheat meal and just go crazy with carbs one night, I literally feel like shit the next morning. It's so crazy. Like I can really feel it now. So all of these things have just come with wisdom and time and doing this thing and aging and just being smarter. I mean, you want to feel good. I just want to feel good every day. I've had many, many, many days as a young man where I just was wrecked the next day because I got too fucked up the night before, or went too hard, or did too much of this, or those days are gone for me. Like I realized that life is really not as long as we'd like it to be. And so back to the habit thing, you just get into these healthy habits. I think that the healthy habits just create more healthy habits, and in time. That's why I was telling this young man that I was introducing to jiu-jitsu. I'm like, you pick 2 or 3 days a week what you want to start, that's fine. But it has to be 2 or 3, I told him, and I want it to be consistent.
Yeah.
Do not take any weeks off, I mean, and I try to tell people, like, especially with jiu-jitsu, you have to kind of know that it's a long road, but just try to picture yourself down the road. He's 19, try to picture yourself at 29. Here you are in the prime of your life.
Yep.
And you're a jiu-jitsu black belt. or brown belt or whatever however long it takes you to get there. 10 years of training, you're going to be skilled. It's going to change your life in these other ways. You know, you're going to be successful. He's already a very smart and highly educated, very smart kid. So it's going to be perfect for him. But
yeah,
anything, you know, it's anything. I try to, you know, if you need to lose 50 pounds, you know, it's give yourself 6 months. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
But after 6 months, you're going to be so proud of yourself. You're going to see results if you've been sticking to it.
Yep.
If
sure.
If you're on a legitimate plan, whatever that is, strength training, diet, jiu-jitsu, people aren't honest with themselves. And like you said, where they feel comfortable at the 2 training sessions a week, they're just like, oh, well, I fall back into that because that's what I do. That's just a mental thing, you know?
Yeah.
What is those 2? Are those 2 training sessions really even training sessions for this person? You know what I mean? It's like, I see people at the gym every day. And guess what? 95% of the time on some of these people, they don't work out. They bullshit with other people.
Yeah.
I see it a lot, dude. When you go to the gym years and years, I've been at the same gyms for 8-10 years. You see this shit. And I'm talking the strength gym because I don't, you know, jiu-jitsu, you don't have that opportunity. You gotta be in there training.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, so you got to give it that. It becomes easier when you make it part of your habit, you know. And to where now I feel like even on a day like today where I didn't get up in the morning and train, I have a lot of work to do. We're doing this podcast. I kind of feel like I'm like missing out on, you know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't get my day going with a workout. So it becomes this thing where you almost become addicted to it in a way.
Yeah.
But it has to be a good environment. It has to be fun, you know, and maybe not so much fun, but it has to be a good environment where you're feeling like you're making progress.
Yeah.
And if that's a strength gym, that you want to go somewhere where you understand the equipment, you're okay with the people around you, you feel comfortable, nobody's judging you, it's convenient to get to, you know, it's near your house. Like you have to think about these things, you know. You don't want to make a habit where you're driving an hour every day to do something, you know, where if that's not conducive with your way of life. So,
yeah, that was that had definitely had an impact on why I joined GD initially because, well, one, they had showers, they had nice facilities. I lived in downtown, and I was commuting to Mesa every day. They had a 6:30 a.m. class. I had to be there at school at 8 a.m. And it was like, this is too perfect. It's one of the best schools in the valley. It's literally halfway between my house and school. They have a 6:30 a.m. class and facilities. It's perfect, you know. And it made that. I mean, it was a brainless decision.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Same thing with me.
But
I did the same thing. I lived farther, but my work was closer.
Yeah.
I was like, they have a shower, I can do that, you know. You don't want it to where, you know, you live in this city, your jiu-jitsu's in this city, and your work is in this third city. It's like, or area. You know, you gotta, your work and your place of working out, your gym should either be by your work where you're spending time all day or by your home or somewhere in between.
Yeah.
To honestly, to be, if you're a busy person like you and I, you have to start thinking in those terms. You know, it's like time is of the essence, you know, and you're going to be much more likely to stick with these routines if it's part of if it's easily injected into your day.
For sure.
And you're not like, oh, I got this new gym I'm going to, but it's 40 minutes the opposite way. It's going to be harder for you to stick with that type of thing, you know? So,
yeah.
And I tell people with jiu-jitsu the same. I'm like, well, I know some great gyms in the valley, but where are you at? Where do you live? Because it's not going to make sense if you live over here and you're going to drive over to where I train every day. It's just, it has to work out, you know, it has to work. And now, don't get me wrong, I know people that drive far away to come to GD. So, but everyone's unique and different, and I'm just saying in general, if you're creating healthy habits, you got to create that something that'll allow you to have that successful consistency, you know. Make it easy at least to get there. So
I wanted to, so there was a paper that came out a number of years ago, And one of the reasons why, another little plug for training in the morning is, so there was a paper that came out a number of years ago. It talked about, like, you basically have a 4-hour intellectual performance window after a workout. So after you work out, you get 4 hours where you get like your learning capacity, it like ramps up tremendously, like significantly, where you learn better after your workouts.
Nice.
So you'll see, I've seen people on treadmills, like reading textbooks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I had classmates that did that. And it's because when you're working out or after you have 4 hours where you get an intellectual boost. And when I was going to school, it was like 6:30, I'm out of there 7:30, 8 a.m., I'm in my window. You know, I'm in my window and I'm going to maximize it. I don't get that at night. You know, my learning is, I don't want to say I'm done learning at night, but for the most part, I get out of there at 10, I'm going to bed. And I'm wasting a pretty valuable. It's a resource. That's a pretty valuable resource, and
that's interesting.
So you get a 4-hour window where learning is optimized following your workouts.
Sense. It totally makes sense.
So it fits in with all the stuff we've been saying with those early bird classes.
Yes, totally makes sense. I mean, that's how I feel after a workout. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I would get to work and I'd just be like. You feel like you're on cloud nine. Yeah, exactly. You're ready to go. It totally makes sense. I mean, so, man, you got to create the habits, right? I mean,
you got to create the habits.
Everything from the supplements you're taking, your workouts, whether it's jiu-jitsu or strength or stretching or yoga. For me, like I just try to. The last about month, I've been back incorporating hot sauna. So I've been doing that once a week at least, trying to get there more, but did that yesterday. It felt amazing. So I take vitamins every day. I take we have a whole cabinet of vitamins. So all through COVID, I was taking zinc, quercetin, because I heard it on Rogan's podcast, heard a guy talking about that and the effectiveness of those two together. I take vitamin D. I also try to get in the sun every day, a little bit, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes. Let it hit my body. Vitamin C. We like the gummies, whatever you can take. The Costco's got the big gum. Now those are going to have some sugar in them, but you got vitamin C, vitamin D. That's what basically I'm taking. I take like turmeric, and sometimes I'll take oregano. Like if I feel like I'm getting a cold or something, and I swear by that stuff too. Like I've taken it in drops, but we also have the pill form. And then I also like to take, before jiu-jitsu, I always take Shroom Tech Sport, which is an Onnit supplement. It's mushrooms, like cordyceps mushrooms. That stuff, man, it's weird how that stuff works, but I feel like for cardio, it's really great. It's just kind of like, I've been taking it for years. And I can tell the difference when I don't take it. It's not like a huge difference, but it's one of those things, if you're a type of guy that likes supplements and it's just one that I like, I've done a lot of study on it. They have a lot of research on their website. Onnit does. They have a lot of good supplements. And lately I've been taking, Alpha Brain again, which is the one that Rogan always talks about as well. That one's interesting. I've been taking it before podcasts as well, because it kind of like makes you a little bit more sharp with your thoughts. And 100% I tested this when I was in the analytical job. I was taking that stuff for a while, and then I would come off of it, complete change. When I would be on it again, I would just be like dialed in at work. It's really kind of trippy stuff, how good it works. But anyway, I bought another bottle of that recently. I've just been testing, because this stuff can get expensive, don't get me wrong.
For sure.
I would take way more if I had the money to blow on all this stuff. But also, I look at I'll be 47 in a week, and I feel great. I honestly feel as good as I've ever felt in my life. And so I attribute that all to everything that I do. So I have to at least say what I'm doing, and some of it, might work for other people, some might not, but it works for me. It's all part of that. It's all part of the overtime habit stacking. I haven't always taken all these things, but I will say a lot of this stuff I've been doing consistently for years, and I'm just going to keep doing it because I still feel great. It's like, but it is an investment in your health, 100%. All of these things. I do cryotherapy 3 or 4 times a week. Now I own Chill Fit Cryo in Tempe, Arizona, so I have that luxury. But I also have clients that do it a few times a week, and they swear by it. So those are things that you're not going to get the benefit, or you're not going to notice unless you're doing them consistently and you understand the long-term health benefits of hot sauna. I've been doing hot tub. Like, we have a hot tub. I literally go in the hot tub 3 or 4 times a week for 8 years we've had it. And I'm not joking, all year round. I swear by that thing for recovery. I mean, there's a lot of similar benefits. I'm big on hot and cold treatments, Yeah. So in the winter time, I do the hot tub and then I jump in the pool. And let me tell you something. That cold water is 1,000 times harder than doing cryo. I do cryo all the time.
It's a wet cold.
Yeah, it's like you go in the cold pool in the winter. It's tough to do. So, but the hormetic effect is amazing. Like, I've been reading more. There's more and more coming out about the benefits of this type of thing. The hot, cold. They're doing some trials with cryotherapy before working out, and they're finding that it's a performance enhancer. In many ways, just like you're working out, and then you have that mental stimulation after the workout that you just mentioned.
Yeah. Same
thing here. You're stressing your body in a way that the reaction creates your body in an optimized state. So it's interesting, So a lot of these, but if you're not doing anything, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's over time that I've incorporated all these methods and the ways in which I live. Not to say it's any better than anybody else. Everybody has their own ways, but for me, this works well. I feel pretty optimized. I will get injured here and there, and that you still have to deal with the injuries. But in terms of overall health and vibrancy, I feel amazing. So it all comes to all goes together. If you don't feel good, and you're not feeling good physically or mentally, it's going to be harder to get to jiu-jitsu. It's going to be harder to wake up in the morning and go do strength training. You have to be optimized. It's like Aaron said, you got to stay ready.
Yep.
And that goes for life. He's able to do those things and jump into tournaments and stuff because he's living this lifestyle where he's not abusing his body and not doing one of these roller coaster rides with your health. So
people got to find the routines, and if you don't have one, start one.
Yeah.
Start small.
Start small. Start small and
build it up.
Make a plan and give yourself some months to see some results, and every few months incorporate something else, or take out something bad that's in your daily life, and go from there. We'll try to have some more guests on, and I think that'll be we will be having some more guests on, but I think we'll make that a point of conversation.
Yeah, for
moving forward, because you can already see a pattern with the people that we've had on. They're all that way.
Yeah.
All 3 of those guys, that's exactly what they do. They're all hustlers. They're grinding every day. And to see that success, they know that they have to be regimented and have a plan and stick to it, consistency. It's like the key word for jiu-jitsu and for this podcast, so.
Consistency is the key for everything.
You got anything else, brother?
I don't, man. I was curious how I've been seeing a lot of the transition gis online.
The transition gi, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving seeing everybody wearing them. We've had some great feedback. Obviously, people are loving it. I think it's our nicest gi out. And I'm only getting better at this, too. That was our 4th gi that we released. So I'm pretty proud of this one. I think it's it matches up with anything out there on the market in terms of quality and style. So I have two other ones in the making right now. So I'm doing some design last minute, finalizing some designs on those, and we'll just keep it going. We're a small business. We're a small company. We have a loyal following, but it's very small. And you just got to keep growing that and promoting
hustling.
it. And I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, that's the situation I'm in. I make premium stuff that is, I'm not going to make cheap shit. It's not going to be on Amazon, and that's just not what I'm about. For me, it's not about owning the huge market share and making crappy stuff and making a ton of money. So I like to make nice shit that people really want, and that you see them on the mats and they actually stand out and they're looking good and they feel good, and it's fun, and nice shirt, by the way.
Thanks. This is a Roll Union shirt for if you're listening. I have a Roll Union.
You might have to stand up a little bit, and show that thing off.
Throw the
there we go.
Plug. There we go.
Jiu-jitsu's not a crime.
Jiu-jitsu's
Available
not a crime.
RollUnion.com. We still have those t-shirts left. Got some sizes left.
Yep.
That was a popular one. And I'm just having fun with it. It's kind of what I like to do in terms of design, passion, creating stuff. It's something that I really enjoy, and it's fun, and it's awesome to see. I have obviously a lot of my friends support, but I have people that really love the gis, and it's cool to hear other people, even my friends though, they're not just buying them because it's me, because I know they wouldn't do that if it was a crappy product, but they're actually telling, they tell me behind the scenes, look, this thing stacks up against all my other gis, or this is my new best, my favorite gi. So, and I knew that because I wasn't going to I have high standards anyway, so I wasn't even going to put anything out. And it took me a while to get something to where I was like, okay, we could start here, because all gis aren't the same, I mean,
yeah, that's for sure.
There's some crappy ones out there, and you gotta just go. I had a funny comment. I don't know if I should mention this on the podcast, but somebody the first kind of shade that got thrown at me with my gi is that somebody kind of emailed us and said it was based on, hey, do you is this new gi, is it the same material as all the other gis? Because something to the extent of my training partners are getting roughed up a little bit by it. Okay, so basically if I was to make a softer gi, they would be interested again. So I'm just putting this out here just because it's kind of funny. But to me, if your training partners are getting scratched up, it's more on how you're grappling than anything else.
Yeah, for sure.
So to set it back, our gis it's made with it's called 450 GSM, so it's the amount of stitches per whatever spacing. Not to get too technical, but you can have if you've ever seen those old judo gis that are real heavy, they're like 550, 650 even, like heavy duty stuff.
Yeah.
Now a light competition gi is going to be like 3 or 350. So a 450 gi is very common in the market, like almost most of and that's what we make. So I just thought it was a funny comment. But this person, let's just say they're a white belt and they haven't been training too long, but anyway, no,
they haven't built up the calluses,
right? I don't know I've never heard that before, and none of my gis are like it's jiu-jitsu.
It's jiu-jitsu, man. There's even there's people that, have you heard this trick where the day before competition, you wash your gi, you don't dry it, you air dry it, but you put it on the hanger so it's super stiff. Yeah. And then when you compete the next day, it can be really rough on.
And I'll be honest, ours do that too. That's my point. Is most gis if you air dry them, and that's what I do. I actually recommend that. So if you buy my gi, you'll get a little card. It's a care instruction card with your gi, and it tells you, because I don't believe that you should dry them ever. But if you're air drying them, it will make them a little bit stiffer. But
Yeah.
it's jiu-jitsu. I mean, come on. Like, you're going to get in there and mix it
Yep.
up. Put a little fabric softener in there and iron it out if you want to make it softer for someone. But a gi won't hurt someone's face by itself. Let's
That's
just put
right.
it that way.
There needs to be an elbow behind it.
Right, yeah, or a shoulder, or I
yep.
mean, come on. So, having a company, you run into all kinds of stuff, but for the most part, we have people wanting to be sponsored by us and everything, and we're just a small company, and we're just trying to make cool shit, that works on the mats. And I'll tell you what, they've been really durable for us. So
Yeah.
I've been training in them for a few years now, since I decided to do this company. So yeah, man, don't dry your gi unless the gis, and they will shrink. So I will tell people, if you ever want to shrink a gi, or you need to shrink it to fit, your first time you want to wash it maybe on warm, like the gi top and bottom, and then if you put that in the dryer, any like medium high or high heat, it will shrink.
It shrinks.
It's cotton. All cotton will shrink. So you have to know that. So you can either shrink it to fit, which I recommend, and some people need to shrink to fit. That's fine. Let's say you buy an A2 gi, but your arms aren't that long. Maybe you need to shrink up the arms and the jacket a little bit. Throw the jacket in the dryer for 10 or 15 on medium high. Take it out, put it on. Still need some more? Put it back in for 15 minutes. Don't just throw it in there for 2 hours, because it might come out looking like a A1.
For
So
sure.
you got to monitor that. And then once it's fit, and this is my own I've done this for 8+ years. This is what I've always done. Because the former company I used to roll in only their gis, same thing. I would buy a certain size, and I would like to shrink it just a little. So once I shrink it, then you just air dry everything after that. You don't ever have to worry about it. And they last longer. You're not putting the wear and tear of the dryer. The dryer kills your clothes. It'll rip. It'll do damage to patching and embroidery. So, does it leave a little bit of a rougher gi? Yeah, I mean, when you air dry it, but they all do that.
Yeah.
It's just it's the material. When you have a thicker cotton, that's what happens. So it's always okay to sometimes you might need to rough up somebody's face. So
That's right. It happens.
it happens.
Yep.
All right, brother.
All right, dude. See you next week. We'll, see you. Yeah, next week.
See you guys next week.